Hi, this is a great question from Melinda Straczynski, and I'm very glad that you have asked this question. She says, my friends and I feel like our children are experiencing some not so perfect situations, such as bad grades, being addicted to junk food, anger issues, etc. And as parents, we are always trying to help and guide them, but it often feels like we are just beating a dead horse. Can you talk about the children of today and how we as parents can help them best to be successful in life? And I can only encourage you to become more like a catalyst that is not getting involved very much in the process of educating your children, but let them educate themselves. Now, this is something that many parents don't want to do because they think they are responsible for what their children do, for the mistakes that they might make, for the trouble that they might get into. But if we try to manipulate children and try to conform them into citizens that are just learning how to obey and to be limited and to remain within the scope of the so-called lawful behavior, then we may just achieve the opposite. If we learn to let them have freedom as much as we can give it to them, given the monetary restrictions, for example, the living conditions, where you live, and so on. But giving them as much freedom as possible, as early as possible, will allow them to get their frustration and perhaps anger out of their system much more quickly, and it allows them to start a life where they can feel responsible for their own actions, for making their own choices and so on. So the problem with today's kids is that they are emotionally and psychologically and spiritually so far advanced, so different than when we started off as children, that we cannot really compare what we have learned and apply that with other children and apply that to them. Because when we do that, we restrict them so severely that they start to rebel. And as soon as a person rebels against something, he's not able to receive even useful information, beneficial advice from the parents, and he will get into that defensive mechanism where he evolves or develops a shield, a protective shield, that he prevents parents from assaulting them, because they perceive the sort of advice that parents give to them, even if it is well-intentioned, they perceive it as a threat and as an attack. And so they develop this protective mantle around them, which will then show up as eating junk food, comfort food, drinking sweet things, beverages, so that they can drown the bitterness of what parents are trying to make them do. It is important for parents to allow children to make their mistakes while they are still with them. And not to get upset when they do make mistakes, because it's not about you, the parent, it is about the children. And mistakes are often taken too seriously, because I consider mistakes some of the best things that a person can do, because we can learn more from mistakes than from other things. And I've made plenty of mistakes in my life, and I didn't turn out to be a bad person. They actually have helped me to become a better person, if you so will. So I would I had a lot of experience years ago with two teenage girls I helped raise, and they were very, very obnoxious, very angry with their mother. They were very aggressive, and the mother couldn't manage them, couldn't control them, and they did a lot of naughty things. And my advice to the mother was to let them be, because otherwise you're already so estranged from them that it will turn out to become a hateful relationship between you and your girls, that it is better to completely relinquish all needs that you have to control them, to conform them, to protect them, because you're obviously not protecting them. They do things anyway, the things that they want to do. But then that can lead to accidents, disasters. They get involved with drugs and alcohol and staying out late and not coming home and so on. So it's better to give them that freedom that they seek, let it get out of their systems, and they will come back to you. And this is exactly what happened. So by allowing children to make their own choices, they don't have to have good grades. We now know what happens when you have good grades. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get a very good job. You don't want to educate them to look for a job that they get hired by someone else. You want to increase and nurture and support their creative genius that they have. Every child has something in them that they are fascinated by, that they're excited about, that they have a passion for. And parents' only role, in my opinion, is to nurture that already exists in them, to support what they are interested in. It doesn't matter if it's video games and whatever. You just allow them to have that experience, and if it is perceived by you as a nuisance, something that is bad for the children, that is only your judgment that you have. And it doesn't necessarily mean it is true. I've seen many young kids spending a lot of time on video games, and they got in touch with a part of themselves that they hadn't been, that they wouldn't have had the chance to come in touch with without those video games. And once they passed through that phase, they became wonderful kids, very, very balanced. So it's a self-education that kids are going through. They know what they need to look at, the parts of duality, the darknesses of their own inner your essence, which is important to embrace for them, just as is to embrace the good sides, the light sides. We are, after all, not just one-sided beings. We are not just light beings, but we are also dark beings. We all have a shadow side to us, and it's important for children at an early age to find those dark areas in them and to love and accept them. And if parents expose these dark parts and denounce them and try to stop them from expressing those deeper, darker areas, it will have a detrimental effect on the growth of the child. So allow them to experience those, express them, whichever way they want to do that, and see them as something useful, because the sooner children express and accept their darker parts, their darker sides, the sooner they will step out of them and become balanced individuals for the rest of their lives. And this is something that I think every parent really wants for their children. So I hope this gives you a little bit of a clue of how to deal with children, that we don't have to put them in boxes. They don't have to have good grades. My grades were terrible, and so I didn't turn out to be a person who was unable to develop his creativity. I always chose the things that I felt were giving me the greatest pleasure, and these were the things that allowed me to be the most successful in. And so the same holds true for every child. Um, Give them the freedom that they choose while they're still with you, and things will turn out just fine.